up pretty high. Our heads are almost in the clouds, and their feet are chained to the ground with their chains of misery.
Haven't we had this already?
They've got a hold of me. They won't let go of me. Let go of me. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly.
We got close, John. Everybody's computer started acting up. They were freezing up. We had to kill the stream in a weird spot. It was hilarious. You'll laugh your ass off tomorrow.
Perfect IRM.
They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. They can be cruel and
I
mean.
look forward to that.
Huge pain. Our heads are in the clouds now. Don't let them make it rain. A smile can be the sign they're missing out on their rainy day. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy gravity. They say we aren't strong enough. We don't have what it takes. I say yeah, they're wrong enough, and we'll show them someday. They might have gravity on their side, but something's pulling us high. Got the potential to fly. Oh yeah, don't let them be what holds you back from this one incredible chance. They're lucky to have had a glance at you while you defy gravity. You defy gravity. You defy gravity. Yeah, yeah. At you while you defy gravity. Savage!
Fears the little deaths. This is Uncle Walt from the Ironworks. Josh, Corey, and I have chosen to look at life with no fear. No fear of the unknown. No fear of questions about the supposedly well-known. No fear of ridicule for thinking outside the familiar fool's lines. No fear of the boot on the neck of those refusing the party line. No fear of taking on those so convinced of their beliefs they would sooner drink the Kool-Aid than believe they've been fools made. In this world filled with me too, cattle think, can truth's protective layers be peeled back to show the tender, juicy pink? Are we all just grist for the mill? Souls sold against our will, or is that just how it feels? When you're filled to the rim, with trivialities so fear-filled and grim, break clear of the fear. Right here, Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m. on TFR. Josh and I and you will hammer out the impurities of technology-driven groupthink, fold in a dash of logic, and quench it all with a bit of absurdity. The Ironworks. Break clear of the fear.
And have no fear. Welcome back to the Ironworks.
It's Friday, my dudes.
And we're having a blast. I'm not even sure if anybody's back yet, but damn it, I'm here. And
I'm here.
Space lettuce.
I'm with
here.
you.
Adam's here.
I'm
Zach John checking in. Awesome.
Hello, John boy.
G'day, Zach boy. Where is our g'day, mate? Rob, we know you're listening.
It has been nice having you back in the mix lately, you fucker.
I'm gonna ring him again. Sorry.
Do it. Do it. Do it. If he picks up, laugh and tell him January Fools.
Damn, how do I? Oh. Anyway, cover.
Well, here's some awesome stuff. It's always fun to hear an astronaut saying the same things that a flat earther would say. Here's one that says, sending astronauts to Mars would be stupid. And I wholeheartedly agree. One of the first men to orbit the moon has told BBC Radio 5 Live that it's stupid, quote, stupid, to plan human missions to Mars. Bill Anders, lunar module pilot of Apollo 8, the first human spaceflight to leave Earth's orbit, said sending crews to Mars was almost ridiculous. NASA is currently planning new human missions to the moon and wants to learn the skills and develop the technology to enable a future human landing on Mars. Anders, 85, said he's a, quote, big supporter of the, quote, remarkable unmanned programs, quote, mainly because they're much cheaper. But he says public support simply isn't there to fund vastly more expensive human missions. What's the imperative? What's pushing us to go to Mars, he said, adding, I don't think the public is interested. Ding, 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 Bill Anders. Nobody effing interested. Meanwhile, robotic probes are still exploring Mars. Last month, the InSight lander, which will sample the planet's interior. The InSight lander, which will sample the planet's interior. Now, how much of a definition do you think that interior is? How deep do you think this little rover is going to go? 4 inches, 6, 8, 10, 18, 40 feet? Even 40 feet down, are you drilling into Mars interior? 120 feet. If you drill a well, are you really necessarily drilling into the Earth's interior when you drill a well? No.
Is 9 miles the interior?
Is 9 miles. Right. But there you go. That's just awesome. The Mars InSight rover is going to sample.
How deep are you going to get, right, with a drill that's powered by sunlight but gets covered in dust?
I was headed for the dust myself there, Adam. That's what I was going to time. InSight will listen for Mars quakes to figure out what Mars is like on the inside. From another story we talked about this morning.
Top it off, guys. We've just had an OBS failure. Disconnected.
Crispy caramel on the inside. What does that mean, Adam? Do anyone listening?
It says we've connected again, but we may be back on. I don't know if we can ask chat.
It's connected again. It should just be a small little hiccup. So we should be back. If you're green, then chances are it's going to be green on the watch page, which means everybody in chat should barely have noticed a thing, other than us laughing at the fact that the Mars InSight rover is sampling the interior with, what was it, Walt? What are they?
I closed it.
Mars,
a seismometer, a heat probe, and time.
A heat probe, so a thermometer.
So right? A thermometer, right?
Or a cold probe. I guess it depends on your perspective, but it's a thermometer. It measures the temperature, right?
And then I bet they come back. They're going to come back with exactly what the core is made of.
Yeah. Well, it's the Mars quakes that it'll be listening for. That'll tell them everything.
Sure, because they're going to be measuring PNS waves, don't you know? And it's
is that once a month?
Probably.
So,
just look for the chocolate. You'll know it's coming.
Oh, sorry, ladies. Oh my goodness, get derailed so quickly, so quickly.
Burn in the hell of. Wow.
Well, I just have high hopes for this InSight probe. I mean, the Opportunity rover got there, was supposed to roll for like around 3 months, and it lasted 14 years there on the dusty plains of Mars. So
that's because it was made by NASA.
Well, I mean, dude, I have to get a new phone every 2 years because the battery won't charge any longer. But hey, it's not a space phone, so I guess I can't really say anything.
Well, actually, it wasn't $50,000 for the nut and $20,000 for the bolt.
Imagine if NASA brought out a mobile phone. Imagine how much money they'd make on that.
Oh, just imagine Mickey Mouse in a spacesuit, the Disney/NASA Apple iPhone.
That's tying Disney with NASA. You can't do that, surely.
Absolutely, you can.
Since day one.
Right, since day one.
Tell us how.
Well, first you get some silly ass to go on television, say he's from Disney, and just show all this silly NASA propaganda and present it to the families in their homes on a Sunday night. That's a great way to start it.
I remember it well. Right before Hee Haw.
He shared a name with you, didn't he?
Hey?
His name was Walt.
He was. Uncle Walt, as a matter of fact.
Uncle Walt. Oh, everyone's an uncle down there.
Or brother.
I think when I went to Great America.
His good friend Werner. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zach.
When I went to Great America, I had my picture taken with, it was either Goofy or Mickey and Minnie that were in a spacesuit.
Oh, see. Beautiful.
Fuck, I knew it was real.
I'll see if I can't find those pictures next time I'm back around that way.
I don't know.
I haven't, though.
Hell, well, if Goofy and who was it?
Minnie.
Mickey and Minnie.
Mickey and Minnie, maybe.
Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy, and you've got the Smurf.
I was going to say, they'll smurf us for any little thing. You better be careful.
You got Space Smurf. Damn, I wish I could find that. Anyway, I just tweeted out the second half of the show and said it could probably get messy, so we have artistic license. I'm going to take full advantage of if I don't pass out.
Is back with us from the break, so we thank you all for hanging with the break and making it through. We made it back with everybody intact.
And we're joined by chat.
Ipsy! Oh, what's up? Sorry. I just saw our buddy Ipsy hit the chat there.
And we know you're not getting bored with our theme tune. Galaxy. What's it called? Gravity.
Who, me?
No. Chat. Chat. Everyone loves it. You know that.
I mean, come on. Dude.
I know.
That's your favorite tune. I know you have it on a daily loop. Well, it was a busy year in space here in 2018 as well. There was lots of goodies. TESS is out there, the Transit Exoplanet Survey Satellite, launched in April, looking for nice big old exoplanets with moons around it. We talked about the Parker Space Probe already, but I mean, come on. I mean, this is like astounding science. It's headed to the sun.
Tell us where moons comes from, Walt.
That's a moon around a moon.
Sure.
I know, but tell us why, for anyone who missed it.
Well,
what is moon?
Theorized
50 million a day.
They theorized that there are moons that orbit moons, and so they have to come up with a name for that. And their scientific description now is moon, not, mini moon or tiny moon or moonette or
Moony Minx.
Moon is the official name of a moon around a moon. And don't forget, we have another moon here around Earth. We have another moon. It's the dust moon. I mean, they kind of know it's there. They haven't really seen it, kind of like dark matter. It's just a theory, but they know it's there because it might be there.
Because it's got a name. It's called Mooning You.
Moon, yeah, so it's like the dust moon around the Earth. Apparently, is true. What else, man?
Moon. So they didn't even give it a Latin, Moonimus Maximus.
Well, yeah, that's Moonus Moonus.
Right. So we're definitely moving into the 1984 newspeak. Yeah, I mean it's Moon.
It surely is. That is exactly it. That's it.
Love it. They're not stars anymore. They're called suns.
Sun.
Wow.
If they're really far away, they're stars.
They're far stars.
Far stars. Oh, brilliant, man. You're better at this than me.
You should be a scientist.
You should.
Super far stars. Superstars.
Superstars. That's worth every bit of 50 million.
It's getting messy.
Kepler died.
Yeah. A while ago, didn't he?
Well, on November.
Damn, he had a good innings.
The space telescope ran out of fuel just before November, so it was launched back in 2009. A 9-year run, that's not bad for fuel. My tank's only a 10-gallon, but hey, it did find some planets around. They figured out that some might have conditions that are right for life. The sweet spot. Sorry. I have apparently got a message there.
Well, that's pretty good miles to the gallon there. Well, I mean, that could be explained quite easily. Plausible deniability with the ballers in the vacuum of space, that you don't need thrust in space to move. So that's, 9 years. No problem. And batteries work better in the cold, don't they?
Apparently.
No.
It would seem.
Apparently it's the other way around. Have we been joined?
Yep. Oh, hell.
Yep. How long am I going to do this before you guys get
No, we haven't.
January Fools. Somebody's here. I'll be right back. One moment. Somebody take over on this story. One more story. That's dusk to dawn. Dusk to dawn. Dawn sent its final message on November 1st. It's gone. The dawn, whatever that was. Was that the Planet Hunter? Was that the Planet Hunter too? What was that? What was dawn?
Well, let's hope Kepler and his assumptive nonsense has gone as well as of 2019.
All right, I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
You go, Walt. Because there was a Newsweek story that we did not cover this morning that I thought might have been worth digging into a little bit. I thought it was pretty interesting. Sacha Baron Cohen. He was the actor that did the Borat movie. The character actor, one of those method actors that sort of throws himself completely into a character and just lives a role for a little bit. And things can get a little crazy for him when he does it, especially when his characters themselves are pretty far out there. But in this Newsweek article, it says, in Sacha Baron Cohen's latest series, Who is America?, the character, comedian, and provocateur nudged former and current Republican members of Congress into endorsing armed kindergartners, revealing anti-Muslim racism, and got Dick Cheney to autograph a waterboarding kit. But there was one scene in the Showtime series captured on camera that was too dark and extreme, even for Baron Cohen. In a new interview with Deadline, Baron Cohen describes how the election of Donald Trump inspired him to get back into costume. Quote, I realized I have to do something else to deal with this kind of anger and total disgust at what was going on, end quote. And explained the agonizing detail that went into fictional characters like former Mossad agent Iran Murad and far-right conspiracy theorist Billy Wayne Ruddock. Along the way, Baron Cohen was astounded by the increase in open American racism. When we were shooting Borat, if somebody said something anti-Semitic or homophobic, we were surprised and we knew that it would make the cut. Baron Cohen told Deadline, now, going out all these years later, you realize that the political dialogue that's come from the top has made an extremely negative impact on other politicians and to the populace. People are saying things that they never would have dreamed of saying publicly prior to Trump. The interview also gives some new insight into how Baron Cohen gained Cheney's confidence. I think he felt happy and almost excited to sit in a room next to my character, because I had done the one thing that he hadn't actually done. He had ordered people to be killed, but had never actually killed someone with his bare hands, Baron Cohen said. It's a bit like a virgin sitting next to a womanizer and being enamored with them. But more than Cheney, or the man he convinced to murder 3 people at the Women's March, the interview subject triggered a fictional bomb. Baron Cohen's most shocking encounter came when, in character as Italian playboy Gio Minaldo, he convinced a concierge to help him find an underage boy to molest. We wanted to investigate, how does someone like Harvey Weinstein get away with doing what ellipses get away with criminality, essentially? What the hell? How does someone like Harvey Weinstein get away with what is essentially criminality? And the network that surrounds him, we decided that Gio would interview a concierge at Las Vegas, Baron Cohen describes. During the interview, believing the admission would drive the concierge from the room, Baron Cohen, as Gio, reveals that he molested an 8-year-old boy. This guy starts advising Gio on how to get rid of the issue. We even, at one point, talk about murdering the boy. And the concierge is just saying, well, listen, I'm really sorry. In this country, we can't just go drown the boy. This is America. We don't do that, Baron Cohen describes. After the concierge offers to go put Gio in touch with a lawyer who can help, quote, silence the boy, Baron Cohen asked for his help securing a date for the night. He says, what do you mean a date? I go, like a young man, he says. He says, well, what kind of age? I say, lower than bar mitzvah, but older than 8. And he says, yeah, I can put you in touch with someone who can get you some boys like that. But rather than airing this segment, Baron Cohen and his production team turned the footage over to the FBI, because we thought perhaps there's a pedophile ring in Las Vegas that's operating for these very wealthy men. And this concierge has said that he had worked for politicians and various billionaires. While Baron Cohen judged the interview too dark and extreme to be included in the show, it is a revealing look on how the powerful can get away with decades-long sexual abuse, including pedophile sexual abuse, such as in the massive cover-up of the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein, orchestrated by President Trump's Labor Secretary Alexander Acosta.
This is in the mainstream, yeah?
Yeah, this is in Newsweek.
Just a bit.
In Newsweek. And I mean, someone who goes to the lengths.
There's one sentence left.
Oh, wait, there's one.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah, the very last sentence is probably the best one of all. So after that whole story, here's according to Baron Cohen, the FBI decided against pursuing the tip. Full stop. End of story.
That was my point. If you're savvy enough to be in the circles of these people, then you should be savvy enough to know you don't bring this to the FBI or your police station or whatever. You might as well bring it to the BBC. You release it, then bring it to them. I mean, so no one's ever going to hear that.
No,
I doubt.
I think it's sad that Sacha Baron Cohen doesn't clearly have any editorial rights anymore. He doesn't rate educated, maybe misled kids, maybe saying homophobic and Islamophobic phrases as important as highlighting sad indictment on him, I think, really, or the whole situation. It sadly doesn't surprise me.
Plus, if you get an interview like this and someone says something like that to you, do you give the only copy you've got to someone else, or do you make a copy and make several copies as normal, prudent people would? They obviously realized the significance of the conversation. But are we to believe that this guy, I don't know who he is, hasn't got a copy of it, that it can't be leaked? Get it out there. If you've got it, get it out there. You made the first mistake by bringing it to the FBI. Well, now make up for it by getting it out there, if it exists.
It does make you question the exact order of events that happened. If in fact they caught it, saw it, and said, "Ooh, that is way too dark for us to include in our late night cable network shocking news show that we've been putting out there," right? This is the one thing that's too dark to include. But what we should do is take it to the FBI. Oh, they're not going to do anything too bad. Oh, well. Or did they say, holy shit, look at this. Let's take it to the FBI. And the FBI said, look, we're not going to do anything, and I suggest you not either. And they said, okay, well, we're not going to air this then. Maybe they've got other copies, but maybe they're smart enough to not go and air them because the FBI gave them.
I would say that in not airing it, they're putting themselves in danger.
Like a physical mortal danger in this life, or like a spiritual karmic danger for.
Well, no, physical mortal, like you said. If they went to the FBI and they said don't release it, and if you do, bad things will happen. If you don't release it, bad things are going to happen because it's still in existence and you know where it is. So if you do know where it is, if you do have a copy, and I cannot believe you don't, then you better get it out there pretty damn quick with the addendum that says that I was threatened with my life if I did release this. So if anything happens to me from now on.
That's kind of what I was wondering, is maybe the only reason we're even hearing about this at all is because some kind of threat may have been levied at him, and that's maybe his way of kind of putting this out there enough to where if something happens to him in the next 3 months, a car crash, a heart attack, whatever, then all the conspiracy people can jump on and say, oh, well, this is what happened. Because as we know, if he's on TV, in the movies, etc., he's in the inner circles. There's no way he's not, especially at the level of fame he achieved, hitting that, didn't he get an Oscar for that weird train station movie or whatever the hell it was? Pretty sure he did, or he got nominated for it, I know. So you don't hit those levels unless you're in the inner circle. So I would say maybe he got to this point in this whole interview thing, realized, oh, shit, I pushed this way too far, and now, threats did come. So maybe after he put the tape in the hands of the FBI.
That's a really good point, actually, Walt. The mitigation they give is that subject is too dark. Well, if that subject was too dark, why would you raise it in the first place?
Right. Why would we even be hearing this exists if it was, unless there might be, this is his trying to have a kill switch.
And it's not in, a Mickey Mouse paper. I mean, it depends on your definition, but it's in one of their establishment papers as well. So it's interesting.
Yeah, no shit. I didn't realize this is Newsweek. No shit. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So that very well could be what's going on. I mean, the people who passed after all the Pizzagate stuff, all the rock stars that were investigating stuff. The guy from Lincoln Park, I can't remember his damn name, Chester, and then Chris Cornell were both apparently looking into things with the Clinton administration and kids, and boom, they're both dead now.
Well, I mean, I'd be surprised if anyone listening is surprised that Concierge at Capital Hotels
or in Sin City
are capable. I mean, what do you think a concierge is? So if you turn up and you're not asking a concierge to go and get you a Burger King and a coffee,
right?
You're asking them to get you the best top cocaine, decent speed, ease, you name it, prostitutes, Do you think a concierge is not going to have a contact that can provide underage children? I mean, it just beggars belief that people, they're obviously sleepwalking through life if they don't think that money can buy you just about anything material-wise on the planet. It can buy you a planet. Money can convince the population they're on a planet. There you look at that circling around to the
I was muted,
spinny
but
ball.
I'm going to continue tutting.
Tut, tut, tut.
Good point. Bloody ruined. Again. A baller.
Why? What does planet mean? Adam. Define planet. Sorry?
Got the T.
No. Define planet. I'm going to haul your balls to the fire.
Oh, I love it.
Because planet means plane. There's no problem using the word planet, as far as I can see, as long as you know what the word planet means. The problem is that we've been indoctrinated from birth to believe that the word planet means this floaty ball in space. Yeah.
I call it a planet. Like a smaller plane as a part of a bigger plane. Ours is just, we just live on this small little planet right here. But Walter, I wanted to get into some of the other stories that we were talking about this morning. I think we could really expound out to round out the show, because there's some big stuff been happening all across this planet in regards to best legalization.
Indeed.
Weed.
Well, there is Jessica, and there's also kratom. I have been using kratom. It has been a lifesaver, without a doubt. If you have someone in your life that has pain, it even helps with mental awareness, acuity. It brightened my mood completely. I was in a foul mood when I got awakened earlier for the show due to the lack of having any sleep today. And finally got my kratom together, and it definitely, it's a great thing, and it does great things for people. That's why they're trying to shut it down all across the plane.
I noticed I did meet a grumpy Walt, floaty Walt this evening early on, but I got to admit, I did notice a level of mild euphoria.
Absolutely.
It's
true. It definitely changes your mood. It's definitely a mood enhancer. And, as with anything that has that capability, there are people who definitely are out there abusing it.
That'll be the mainline Coke, Adam.
That's, the people who abuse things are going to, regardless of what they have access to. That to me is not even part of this equation. The question is, why is it carrying a death sentence, in other countries, especially there in Thailand, where it originates, where it's been used for thousands of years, medicinally, culturally, spiritually. These people keep a tree that is like their family tree, their kratom tree. It's like a part of their family that they get their personal medicine that they make for themselves, their family, their friends, whatever. Sure, they may have a farm, they may have fields that they are using to harvest and to export and to use as a way of life, but to actually use it personally, it becomes more of a relationship with this entity, this being, this tree. So at that level, to me, it speaks way more to what it does for you in mood and lifting the spirit. The pain relief is amazing. It is astounding. And again, both of these, and on top of all the other goodies that we found it does, it's definitely part of why it's being demonized here in our country. But over there in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, They've officially approved the use of cannabis and kratom plants for medicinal use. Now, that being said, possession of larger quantities and trafficking of the plants, which are their Schedule 5 drugs, still carries a death sentence nationally and in the bordering countries throughout that region, which is insane. But the details on how all this happened, it gets lengthy, and it talks about the Legislative Assembly and the narcotics control committees and laws and members, and we don't really need to get into all those details. Just know that on Christmas Day, new legislation was passed approving marijuana for medicinal purposes and research.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
That is amazing and awesome and a huge step forward. And you know what's good for you if your authority is trying to ban it or is trying to price you out of the market. And I'll say once again, tobacco is a benefit, and should be, well, it's not banned, but it should be detaxified.
Absolutely.
Sorry, didn't mean to hijack that.
No, it's fine. I mean, I love when you talk about that because it definitely speaks to, think about, I mean, why would the whole government bandwagon of let's ban smoking in all places happen? You know, that didn't have anything to do with people, needs, you know, health, any of that. It definitely, I think, speaks more to your passion on how tobacco is good for our lungs, which we've talked about and definitely can dig into more for sure.
Well, I think it's good for your lungs. I think it's good for your body. I mean, tobacco, when it was first discovered, was prescribed by doctors for almost anything. I mean, it was the cure-all for everything. And then suddenly it's not. The only reason I bring this up is because when I started smoking, it was affordable to me as a 14-year-old kid. I could smoke and easily afford it. Now I'm a 45-year-old kid. It's £23 a bag, and by the time I retire, it will be my entire retirement. So I was encouraged to smoke as a young child, and then
punished for getting in the habit.
Sorry?
Then you get punished because you picked up the habit?
Yeah, and just told, well, just give up. And it's like, well, maybe I don't want to give up. And now that I've researched it, I understand the benefits of tobacco, and I definitely don't want to give up, but I'm being persecuted by money. You know, it's like cigars. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on cigars. Why? Because those cigars contain pure tobacco that is good for you. I mean, there is a reason to all of this, but as you bring up the marijuana and the kratom, I think that's fantastic. I don't know where we are in the UK.
With the body's reaction to irritants, producing phlegm, Cecilia, is that the right word? Pushing it out, you know, the whole hacking up phlegm thing. That does speak to maybe the preventative inhalation of all this particle crap they spray on us daily, you know.
Yeah, it
could have a lot to do with it.
It's an expectorant.
Absolutely.
So it's like vaping cannabis oil or any other oil. It loosens things up in your lungs so that you're able to cough them up. That's why this is smoker's cough, because what you're coughing up as a smoker, as a non-smoker, you're not capable of that. They're still clinging to the sides of your lungs.
Right.
It's just purely my theory, you know, backed by peer-reviewed studies. If you want to read the book,
right.
Benefits of Tobacco. But yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You know, when I have a bad throat or I have lungs that I need to cough things out, I go and have a vape, and that loosens everything up, and then you cough and your lungs are clear. Interesting to note, during the Black Death in London, no tobacconists in the whole of London died.
Interesting.
And the kids who went to Eton College were whipped if they didn't have a cigar, their mandatory cigar a day during the Black Plague. They were whipped. So
wow.
Bear that in mind. And if you want any more information, go to my blog, Smoking the Propaganda.
That's awesome. I see some questions in chat there about kratom.
Some statements there too that are making me chuckle. Travis,
go ahead.
I'm just looking at Red Hen Radio. We know that's Travis. He says, "I wish IRM were my dad."
Thank you, Travis. If you guys haven't checked out Red Hen Radio, it's something you should be checking out for sure.
Well, just to let Travis know, when he's 18, we're going to be getting a flight to Amsterdam, Travis.
Nice.
Doing it properly.
And remember, that's REDHENN.
Double N, yes.
One Space Radio. Go there, subscribe. Good stuff. He's just
Absolutely.
had Pro 777 on, and yeah, looking forward to some good stuff on there. Good one, Trav.
Mark of Melb, I guess that's Melbourne, asked, is kratom like a strong coffee? It definitely can be. There's different strains. There's the white, the red, and the green. The white tends to be the more stimulating, coffee-like one. That being said, you have to work your way through this whole thing. And that's part of why a lot of people I see further on in the chat there have had problems with nausea, problems with not liking the effects, problems with just not getting the experience they expected from this thing. It's very non-regulated. There's no standard dosage. You definitely want to stay within a 3 to 5 gram area to start with. In fact, that's max for me usually on a day is 5. I've learned higher doses of even white strains can cause you to become very lethargic and very just overly chilled out. And that's one of the learning curves as well, is learning how much is your body's threshold to get you to that point of now I'm in the zone of sleepiness. Up till that, it can definitely be a very stimulating, sometimes a bit more than coffee. And by that, I don't mean a jittery, oh, I'm wired out feeling. More like just your mood is lifted, just things are generally you just get in a better state of mind. It definitely wakes me up. That being said, there are the red, gold strains that definitely are more relaxing, more for the bedtime. Red for bed is kind of the mantra there. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to know. The best thing to do is find somebody who is experiencing it, has a good person that they're getting it from, that they've had a relationship with, that they know they're doing testing on the kratom they're getting in. The guy we deal with literally has a warehouse that's filled with tons that he's gotten in, tested, and it didn't meet his standards, so he's not getting rid of it. It's just sitting there rotting away. That's also part of this whole, they're really causing a lot of problems for people trying to import it, people trying to get it here into the country. So you definitely want to find a vendor who is going to work with you and talk to you, and not just, don't just do a Google search and take the first thing you come across. There's lots of good groups online, different places, Facebook, Discord, things like that. I really can't point to any right offhand. That's more Michelle's area. She deals with the Facebook people, and she knows the guy really well. So I'm not even sure his name offhand, but definitely the SoCal herbal people that we deal with, we've had a great experience with them. And as far as nausea, add a little ginger to the mix. It definitely helps with that.
And that was a question from Mark of Melb, was it?
Mm-hmm. It definitely was.
Right, I just wanted to hold on, Adam. I just wanted to address someone. I've been Looking at chat. Oh no, I shouldn't.
Good.
And someone's saying that cigarettes are poison. Stop this nonsense. I can't find the chat.
That's Ninja
quote.
Man.
Ninja Man. That was it. Thank you. And I just wanted to correct him there. Cigarettes, as Mark of Melb said, cigarettes are not tobacco. Cigarettes are very different. That's why they're two different words. And if you've got any more questions, then I highly recommend getting a book you can buy for a couple of dollars. I got it for about £3 here in the UK delivered, called The Health Benefits of Tobacco by William Campbell Douglas II, MD. And in that book, it's, I don't know, 300-400 pages long. It goes through every single meaningful study on tobacco that's been done, including by the United Nations, by the World Health Organization, and everything that's just been swept under the carpet because the results didn't match what they were looking for, which is what we find in Flat Earth every day. So stop being a don and go and do your research. That's
Here,
my
here,
soapbox.
Well, definitely, there's lots to know in this area. Both tobacco. I mean, I do see the things in chat you're talking about. And definitely, most are held back. Basically, all commercial cigarettes are just a nicotine delivery system. Tobacco itself, well, we don't need to get into this. For tobacco, just definitely do your research. As with kratom, do your research. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on IRM.
I've got a little bit of research on kratom.
I know a guy, though. I know a guy. Go ahead, sir.
You were talking there, and you're talking very much as an understanding of looking at the leaf structure. Just to add a bit of pharmacology to it, there's two main active. It is a mixture of a lot more, but there are two main active ingredients in kratom, and they're mitragynine and 7-hydroxymethionine. So
right,
the main one is the most abundant. The 7-hydroxy, a hell of a lot more potent, and I think it's probably excess amounts of this that cause peaks and bad episodes outside of dosing, etc. Because it is plant material, so you know it is varied in its constituents, and I think it's probably this one that is the one that's much more dose sensitive than just the mitragynine. So, but they're the kind of the two things. I've just got a little quote lower down just to give you a bit of pharmacology. Mitragynine and 7-hydroxymethionine, the two alkaloids mainly responsible for the effects of kratom, are selective and full agonists of the mu subtype opioid receptors. Receptor agonist effect of kratom alkaloids is antagonized by the opioid receptor against naloxone. Really quite, basically means it's really quite powerful. Has super affinity for the body's receptors, much more than synthetic engineered. Also, in addition, it also has 5-HT and postsynaptic alpha-2 adrenergic receptors. So it's also stimulating positive mood thoughts as well as pain stuff. So it's having a number of stimulating effects in brain chemistry.
Awesome. Adam, quick question, looking at chat. It's looking good tonight. Is anyone taking CBD oil? Could you give us your experience with CBD oil, Adam?
Well, I'll sum it up simply, I suppose. Look, there is an endocrine system in our body, the endocannabinoid system. We know little of. we've seen, and you know, we can attest to the positive effects of saturating our body and what it does to cellular apoptosis. What we've got when we're taking just CBD oil is, for me at the moment, we've got very little clinical data. We've got the knowledge that it works, it has positive effects. As for specifics, strains, types, etc., and their individual therapeutic uses, there's a long way to go. And as we head into research, and I think we're going to get onto a pioneer of this sort of thing in a bit, it's this sort of research that's going to become really relevant now. I think there's a lot of dispensaries that would probably be able to give a lot more information than me. We've got no access in the UK, but for me, yeah, I can see no reason why CBD oil shouldn't be part of your input. And you know, historically, it's been recommended through different means other than this direct
Hold on,
route.
I see you've got your white coat on, and you may not be wanting to say what you've been doing, what you know you've been doing.
Well, yeah, no.
CBD oil.
Yes.
You've prescribed to several family members, close friends, relatives.
I've not prescribed a thing.
No, not prescribed. Sorry, wrong thing. No, you just suggested.
John.
Actually, John. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, distinction. Yeah. CBD oil is not containing THC. When we're talking about cancer treatments, we're talking the full plant extract, which is, in most cases, hopefully very heavily in THC, which is the purpose with regards to cellular apoptosis. So with regards to getting cancer cells to self-recognize their faults and kill themselves. When we're talking,
a huge point, though, Adam.
Well, I know. Let me just make the distinction
between CBD and THC, and the fact that, you know, if you take the spagyric route, the entire alchemical, using the whole plant. I'm just saying, because I've noticed recently that it's now being referred to as CBD oil.
Well, no, there is a different thing that is CBD.
There is, yeah, but I'm talking in the mainstream. It's being talked about as being CBD oil, as though that's just CBD in there, when in reality, the amount of chemicals, the amount of components that make up a holistic plant medicine oil, it's hugely different. That's right, and that's sort of what you're saying, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah. Actually, there's a guy, obviously, that to point you to, and that's Anthony. You know, he's the man with regards to strains, types, and that probably has a lot of data that he's acquired through sweat and hard work. I did watch a great thing where he was talking about pulling
THC
out. Yeah. You'll probably have to fill in this, Zach, but he took out like all the male plants and was saying save their roots to make a tea for arthritis, was one of the things that, you know, it's that level of detail he's got.
Right.
So he's the man, realistically, isn't he?
But as far as CBD itself being extracted away from all of the psychoactive parts of the plant, there are pluses in that respect, because there are some people out there who just can't handle a buzz. They don't want their head to get all fucked up. They just want pain relief. They want some slight mood change, which CBD isolate can do. I've seen it work on people that have severe autism. I've seen it work on people who have severe pain, severe seizure, not severe seizures, muscle cramps, things like that.
Now, I've heard it the other way around, that CBD is the couch lock, knock yourself out.
No,
I just want to sit on the couch.
No,
whereas THC was more of a brain thing. As THC
CBD
was the sativa, CBD was the...
No. Sativa and indica and all that are strains, and that's completely. You can get CBD out of either one of those, and it will be non-psychoactive if you do it right and know your chemistry. There's ways to isolate it and get it completely removed from any kind of head effect other than higher doses of CBD can relax you, can alter your mood. You don't get stoned, you don't get high, but there is mood alteration that can take place with CBD, vaping, candies, gummies, things that you can get over the counter at just about any store right now, here in my state anyway. And it's good for the people, like I said, who don't want to deal with both the legality of having, you know, full plant, full flower, whatever, in a state where it's not really something you should have, or the head, just the whole idea of they don't want to have their head all fucked up, but they do need some of the relief and things that CBD can give them. With the kratom, that was something early on that when I did attempt adding CBD to the mix, it was my question, is this something I should even do? Is it going to counteract? Because in reality, something I learned in Oregon, if you're trying to get high, if you're trying to get stoned, and you suddenly go from smoking regular flower or a real high concentrated like hash oil, and then suddenly do a real big dose of CBD, it will actually take your buzz away. It can completely eliminate your buzz.
That's something that with some of the cancer patients that are on the high 1 gram a day doses of the Rick Simpson oil, simply, it's been noted beneficial that actually dosing with CBD takes away some of the highs and
right.
The psychoactive side of it. And just before, to get me out of trouble, there is somebody else, obviously, who's very knowledgeable, other than Anthony, who's in chat. So, shout out. In traffic in my Rasta hat. Sorry, bro.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of our listeners and chat folk are quite knowledgeable in this area, both through personal experience.
But not all of them will send you a message afterwards telling you off. So,
touche.
It'd be good to get Travis on to talk about this. Actually, it sounds like it's it's a passion of his, and I don't know. I haven't researched it for probably a decade now.
Maybe we should move on to the man who's got a passion and might be able to tell us a bit more as well, mate. Because to me, this is where it's going, and
that's right. This is the ultimate
intro.
The ultimate. Good segue.
That's what I thought. I thought we've hit the spot.
Yeah.
Sweet. Press that button.
Go on.
Josh, go. Help.
Maximize it. Make it perfect. Hit that button.
Josh is getting coffee.
I'm confused. What the button am I...
Don't worry, Josh. We're waiting for Zach.
Yeah, I'm here.
What's happening in your life, Zach?
The man of the hour.
I'm hoping to be getting into this business here real soon.
Take us from ground zero to where you got to now. You left home, right? How long ago?
Back in August.
You left home. You went on the road. You put everything in the hands of yourself and the car and you name it. And since then, you're currently in Florida with a job, doing something you love, and you've also... Where's your path taking you, mate?
I've met somebody out there. Great guy. He was actually the person who watched Hank while I was in Denver at the conference. And he had been in this business, not so much the CBD oil or the CBD at all. He was growing cannabis medicinally in large quantities. Had it down to a science, pretty much, all hydroponic, indoor, had it all automated and everything. Really knew what he was doing. And through his military connections, he'd met certain people and whatnot, and really wasn't sure what was going on. He was trying to make a deal with an Eastern European country to produce all of their CBD oil, because a lot of them are starting to make that legal now for the very first time. But they don't want to make it in country, and they don't want people, they want people from out of country pretty much manufacturing it. So, it's like 2 days after he had gotten home, because he had headed back home for a while for the holidays and whatnot. He got the call saying, "Hey, we need you over here in, Eastern Europe to close the deal out with these people." And sure enough, it happened, and it's a big contract. They're hoping to have 200 people working for them by the end of the year. And it's all going to be producing CBD capsules for 2 governments over there, actually. But yeah, I'm getting in on the ground floor, and he knows how he wants to bring my love of plants to the operation. Pretty much have me kind of keeping an eye on things, making sure pHs are correct, and all that kind of stuff.
Is that
on a big automated scale?
Would you say that's the definition of synchronicity?
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have gone any more perfect than that. I waited 20 years to go on my journey, And this guy that has a dog out in Capitan, New Mexico, up on a mountain, I decided to go say hi because he had a dog.
And that's Jeep Nomad, is it?
Yeah.
I'm going on memory here.
I was going to say, Zach, right? If you had to write down in an envelope, like, how good it could have gone when you sat on the road, that you'd meet up with a guy that you trusted enough to leave Hank with, and then he'd turn out to have this amazing contract with the Eastern European country where you need to be head farmer of a cannabis farm. And
yeah, is that not like a dream? I wouldn't have wrote that down.
You'd have said, "Stop, you daft bocker! You'd stop you dreaming."
You're Obelix. You're falling in the magic potion cauldron. Wow.
I want to say now, mate, congratulations, and I hope it all works out so well. And I look forward to seeing you stop Hank romping in those fields, or at least seeing him in the fields. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that was my question. Are they going to have an issue with customs and everything getting the dogs over there?
Yeah, they will.
It'll cost money, but they do like dogs. Yeah.
Well, I was emigrating to Australia, and it was going to cost me $4,500 to ship my dog out there. But that's Australia. I don't know about Croatia, but I'd like to say it. I mean, me, and we talked earlier in the week, and how highly skeptical and cynical I am. And I asked you all the questions that I wanted to ask you in terms of, shit, man, do these people eat humans? And it all seems kosher, above board, and yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think if it works out for you, then this is literally the definition of synchronistic. So good on you, bud.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's another step in the journey, and I don't know. It just feels so right. He's a good guy. He is. He's got his head on straight, and he's all about helping people. That's why that's what he told me about. He's like, I know you don't really care about money and stuff like that. He's like, but if one of your family members' water heater or something like that breaks down, he's like, you'll have money just to buy them a new one. You won't have to worry about stuff like that.
And when's it start?
They're supposed to have hopefully break ground by March. They're still searching for location, and then by June they want everything up and running.
I wonder if you could drive to Europe via Alaska by March. Save all the shite with putting a dog on a plane. That's going to be your biggest hurdle. You know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We'll get him over there.
I'm pumped up, man. I'm just so excited for you.
I think Hank's worth about 30 boilers.
Right?
So Zach, Dixie wanted to know what the chances of you swinging through this way again before you flew off to go adult in a different country.
I'm planning on it. Once I find out, all the for certains of when and where I'm going to be when I take off, I'm planning on heading up the East Coast. My brother wants me to stop by his place in South Carolina, and then I'll be heading over towards your way.
See if you can stop over in Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get over there to Europe. Europe is so small. You can drive across Europe.
And sorry, what evidence is that claim made on?
Hey Zach, I tell you what, you'll be about a week and a half in. Sorry, mate, go on. That was double cross talk. Go ahead, Zach.
No. That was it. That's all I had to say.
I'm just warning you that Savage will be giving you a call after about a week and a half, asking you how much tobacco is out there, and expect a call.
I would like an email off anyone who's anywhere in the world as to how much 50 grams of golden Virginia is where you are. That's email me at johnsavage2018@gmail.com.
Savage!
I'm on a mission now. This is getting fucking ridiculous. 23 quid a week. Don't even spend that on weed. Don't.
I don't either.
Before we move on, I was just looking at the country you're going to, Zach, which you haven't said.
The weather's beautiful.
I didn't know if you'd mentioned it or was keeping it quiet.
Yeah, I just didn't want to say too much right off. I think it kind of slipped out there.
Hold on, haven't we got 2 realmers that are from that country?
No. That's Latvia.
No. Never mind.
The good thing for me is it's just a short trip away from Italy. So I'm confident that one summer soon, I'll be popping over, or at least I'll be expecting you to pop over, mate, as well. Come and see us over there.
My buddy said he had to stop over in Italy both times.
I feel a trifecta coming on here. March,
Italy,
you say,
one of these stopovers. March, they'll be breaking ground for the factory.
So before March.
Yeah. Well, they'll pick out. I guess there's a lot of different places to choose from over there right now. It's like 1950 United States over there right now.
I assume it's the government that's selecting it. It's a government funded project, isn't it? So it sounds a little bit like in Italy, because in Italy they've got CBD, so high CBD strain plants, and I think anything less than 0.2 or 2% THC is allowed, and that's purchasable from tobacconists. But when they first started it, what they did was just get a huge plot of land, do the same thing, and they got the army apparently to grow it, and that was for provision for medical purposes. So it sounds like the next stage on there. Doing another thing. This
is going to be straight capsules, all indoor hydroponics.
Oh, cool. So this is full medical production.
Yeah.
It does say in 2015 legalized for all medical purposes.
Yeah, it won't be in that country that we'll be producing it for. It'll be for a couple neighboring countries that have just made it. I guess it's still really illegal to have like cannabis. It's 3-year minimum if you get caught with anything.
It's bizarre, isn't it, how that works? I mean, I hear sort of rumors that the UK is a massive, massive producer of cannabis. And I've had friends of mine that have sent me video footage of them running through fields of 8-foot high cannabis plants, saying in the UK. And isn't it bizarre that these countries that are anti-cannabis for the public are producing so much cannabis themselves? It's as though each field that they're growing it in has been made into a municipal or a sovereign state, that it doesn't apply to the rules of the country. I'd just love to know how all this fits together, because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's complete doublespeak. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's like Australia with
Yeah.
opiates. Australia is the biggest pharmaceutical opiate provider in the world, as far as some crap I read. Could be wrong, could be right. Don't believe me, but you know, you'd be banged up if you tried to grow poppies or even cannabis in most parts of Australia.
Yeah, same with the United States.
Well, that's what I was about to say. It's kind of the little colonial game, and drug prohibition is a strange one, because in most cases it's the empire crap that grows out and those standards stick. And the empire standards with regards to any kind of pharmaceutical product back in the early 1800s, etc., was a much more open and honest. It was a lot more alchemical based and tincture based as well, but it was a lot more open. For example, you know, there's no stigma in Conan Doyle's books with regards to Sherlock Holmes's use of opiate. It's only later that they make it an issue in TV shows.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I've lost my train of thought.
Because in those days it was normal, just like tobacco and silver and iodine.
So drug prohibition is a kind of a reverse, because it's actually the historical way of that you see in terms of the way in which we get this reversal is actually from the American then spreading to the UK, and then, as with a lot of drug stuff, that then spreads throughout the Commonwealth in terms of legislation. But it is a complete reversal. It took America to. Well, let me finish. It took America to ban stuff, and then we followed suit, which is kind of a strange thing. And kind of hoping that with what's going off in America now, where we're seeing the state after state collapse in terms of its even not just medicinal, but it's recreational use, that there'll come a tipping point there where federally it becomes accepted, and therefore the UK will follow.
Well, I was looking today, and we have a little local distribution magazine called the Riverfront Times. So if you live in St. Louis, you're probably familiar with the Riverfront Times. It's given away free, you know, around the bars and the local spots, and just sort of all sorts of places around the oh, come on, you're gonna just brick phone while I sit here and talk, aren't you? Awesome. Anyway, I was looking on Facebook and I saw an article scroll past from the Riverfront Times, and they said the city of St. Louis is going to no longer prosecute for possession under 100 grams, which I thought was pretty amazing. And I was trying to explain.
That's a big bag, isn't it?
That's a big bag.
100 grams of coke. That's a lot of coke, man.
Well, we're still talking marijuanas here. 100 grams of marijuanas. They'll no longer prosecute. But that's still a lot of marijuanas all at once. I was trying to explain to my mom that, federally it's still illegal. It's not legal to have it, even if they're not going to prosecute, even if they say you can get it medicinally. Federally, it's illegal to have it, period. That's just the way it is. And she was confused that, well, how could it be okay if the states say to do it? How can the federal government make it illegal?
That's what they call gray areas. And that's what authorities absolutely love. When no one knows the law, no one knows anything, nothing's black and white. Everything is down to discretion and grey areas. Perfect breeding ground for corruption and shitness.
Yep. And fascist violence. But still, I thought it was pretty exciting. It is definitely one step closer. And I've seen a whole lot of stories now that Missouri has officially become a medicinal marijuana state, that there's all sorts of legislature, all sorts of stuff being put forward to just sort of do away with all of the federal oversight. Sort of, we're pretty conservative here in Missouri as far as how much government we think should be in our lives. So we're pretty good at trying to head them off at the pass before they get their chance to dip their greedy little fingers in. Like with the Second Amendment and things like that, we've already got it written in our Constitution that the federal government cannot and will not enforce any sort of federal gun ban or legislation in Missouri.
God, lucky you, man. We're such a bunch of pussies over here across the pond in the UK. We are gelded pussies.
Well, we are.
They can get away with anything over here. Because we don't have our guns, I imagine. Just saying.
Sorry, I'm screaming at my dogs. But we are sort of the zetetic state. I'm surprised there's not more
Indeed.
in Missouri. We are known as the show me state. That is our motto. That's what's plastered up on our license plates. It's show me. We are the show me state. And it comes from a little saying way back in the 1800s from, I think, one of the governors or a senator or representative or somebody from the state of Missouri said that it was a frothy eloquence, neither convinces nor satisfies.
Have you always been a Missouri man?
I have.
So I think it's in your duty to carry that forward, the show me mentality, as you're doing, and demand it of everything that they try and legislate against or shove down your throat.
Yeah, I try to be the one that, leads by example, quietly. I've learned that being loud only makes you a target.
Show me podcast. Louisiana Show Me podcast.
Well, that's right. It's a Mississippi Mud podcast because he's at one end of the Mississippi River. I'm
no doubt
2/3 up.
Show me the mud. Show me the mud flood.
See, Max Egan's all over mud flood.
Yes, yeah.
I heard a quote today on a little bit, and I was taking a little snooze. I had a little snooze tonight, Walt. Just half.
Yes.
Yeah, just a little one, just like half an hour, but it was just enough, and I just put Max Egan on.
Yes.
there must be something soothing about that Antipodean tone or something. But he was the one thing that stuck in my head was the line he said. He brought Flat Earth up, and he said maybe the Flat Earthers and the Ballers can get their heads together over this one, and it can be unifying. Which I thought was
interesting.
In his beta tone way.
I was going to say that's probably the most positive I've heard him speak about Flat Earth and Flat Earthers, in spite of the tone that it came out.
Well, forget about it and move on to something else.
What were we talking about? Max Egan. Sorry. I know I've got a conversation that I thought was kind of interesting because there were things that he wanted to know specifically from Flat Earthers. And I think we've covered it once before. Well, I can't find him. He may just be somewhere else. Anyway, but they were just stupid.
What was it, roughly?
I'm trying to think of all
paraphrasing.
Is that list you got off Billy Ray with Billy Ray?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one. There was the Southern Pole Star. There was...
explain the Southern Pole Star rotation.
I think it was arc degrees, or was it the triangle on the sphere? It was one of those. Go out, measure a mile.
The thing with the Southern Pole Star is that, agreed, it was probably the best evidence that we're living on a spinning ball. You look north, you got a pole star that goes anti-clockwise. You look to the south, you got a pole star that goes clockwise. However, since looking into it, it has to be one of the most reproducible effects that there is out there. You can reproduce it with a semicircular dome. You can reproduce it with mirrors. You can reproduce it with atmosphere. It's all sorts of stuff. So it used to be one of those sort of head scratcher the South Pole star rotation, but I don't know about anyone else, but it's just not a problem to me anymore.
No, me neither.
It was one of my early things that I investigated to see, okay, how does this actually work? And when I saw that, like in South America, Africa, and over there at Rob's area, the different times they actually see this occurring, it doesn't make sense on a ball anyway. So
I'd say ball or flat stars make no bloody sense.
Absolutely not. It's because they're rendering up through the ground.
You got it, Walt. You got it, baby.
Sorry, I just got a bit of water in my. Just got a bit of water in my goggles there. Sorry.
I don't think we'll ever know what's actually going on above our heads. I don't think we're supposed to. It's fun to sit and think about it and come up with ideas and different ways how it could be possible. But I don't think we'll ever really know.
I'm not sure we'll ever know. Yeah, I'm not sure we'll ever know, but I would like to think we'll never ever stop trying to work it out. Because like you say, the simplicity that I used to see, that you've got a star in the north that goes anti-clockwise, you've got a star in the south goes clockwise, therefore we must live on a ball. That simplicity is just gone now. Once it's looked into, once it's been researched for a small amount of time, it's not a long amount of time, but like you say, Walt, it was you were saying, it doesn't prove we're living on a ball at all, because the comebacks, the evidence that's shown, they say we can all see the Southern Star from from the south. Well, you can't, because they're not all in nighttime at the same time. So
that's it.
And does this southern star travel across the horizon? I've still yet to see any real decent footage. I know John Le Bon, I think, said he had a mate that put something out, but I'm yet to see any decent footage of this thing for any amount of time. I've no idea what's going on in the south. I should be in Australia now, but I couldn't be asked.
If you're arguing with somebody about this,
John. Sorry, Zach.
If you're arguing with somebody about this, tell them to look up, and you need to look it up too. James Bradley, 1728, I believe it is. He was the astronomer royal. He figured out that there was something called stellar aberration, and it totally destroys the heliocentric model. And they actually still measure this today. And instead of marking it negative parallax like they should, because yes, some of the stars, they do parallax a teeny tiny bit, and some of them, not all of them, just a group of stars here and there will actually go backwards and reset themselves, therefore negating the whole idea of us going through some kind of age of Aquarius, age of this, age of that. We don't process through the equinoxes. It all resets back to where it was.
This was it. There was something, they did a 19-year study or whatever on the stars, and by the end of the 18th year, they could accurately predict every single solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, and like you say, retrograde of planets like Mars, retrograding, and everything reset after 18 point whatever it was, 4 years, 4.642, if that appeals to Adam, years, it reset. And it isn't it right that they even do that? It does that in Stellarium. Didn't Jeranism?
Yeah. It won't even let you go back 2,000 years anymore like it
Not
did
anymore.
when Jaron did it. Yeah, because he was showing people.
They've taken another tool away from us, yep.
Yeah, that, hey, look at the pole star, which, by the way, Polaris used to be called Stella Polaris, which in Latin means the pole star. So it's not like they just said, oh, Polaris, and now that's considered the pole star. No, it meant the pole star when it was named. And
isn't it right?
159 AD, according to their history.
And isn't it right that the shaft in the one of the pyramids, the Great Pyramid, or the Pyramid of Giza, is absolutely aligned to the North Star?
Yeah, they say Vega was
that.
Yeah, Vega was there 4,000 years ago, or whatever. Yada yada yada. Like, according to their procession, that doesn't take place.
That's
Vega
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Orphan Red and Jeranism had a ding dong about this, about how the North Star was slowly changing, and et cetera, and
now it does get dimmer and brighter. They say that.
Sure, and it's not exactly in the center either. Anyone who takes a star trail photo of the North Star will realize that it's not in the center. It must be, I don't know
it's
what
within
it
the
is.
89th degree. It was what was it, about 3 years ago when I was really looking into all this. I think it was 89 degrees, 15 minutes, 55 arc seconds, something like that.
It's certainly not far off.
No.
And it
should have moved 27.7 degrees along its precessional path since it's been named. And it's right there.
Which is something, what is it, 1 degree every 72 years or something?
Yeah, 73, 72, somewhere right around there.
Yeah, so in your average person's lifetime, say our lifetime, it would have moved 0.5 degree. And this would be front page cosmological.com news.
Now, it's not 0.5 degree on, like, like the distance of the sun, it's half a degree along its precessional path, which is shorter than, I don't know how it all works. But the precessional path isn't as big as like our dome sky. You know,
it should have moved though.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
should have moved in our lifetime.
Definitely should have moved. I actually have a video on it. It's about half an hour long, and it actually I go through and show doing time-lapse star trails without the trails, but just showing the stars move.
Cool.
I used one of those, and
Thank for that. Eh?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
But yeah, that was one of the sort of first things I noticed. Well, it was one of the first things I #test it did was take a star trail photo, time lapse, and realize the North Star is not pinpoint in the middle, which a lot of people say it is, but technically it's not. But who cares? Well, what does that prove?
It's not a ball.
Oh my God, it's a spinning ball.
Proves your wobble.
I'm wobbling.
You're wobbling through space at 1,000 miles an hour rotation, hurtling 66,000 miles an hour plus, what is it, like 1.5 million miles an hour?
66.6 degree.
And the North Star is what, 400 plus light years away, and
maybe year, 280,
something like that. Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
But you know nothing, John, about this intangible object that you're observing.
I know, namely because it's intangible. But just what is a light year? Is it 5 trillion miles?
Hank, be nice, Bubba.
Right, exactly, Hank.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
We need an Ask Hank section too.
I know what he said. He said bullshit unit, unquantifiable.
He said that's not how you make eggnog. Yet, moron.
Nope. I think what he said, what he meant to say was, ask Stephen.
Go on then.
What, you want me to ask Stephen? All right, Stephen Hawking. How far exactly is 1 light year as light travels through the vacuum of space? Damn.
It's a bloody long way, he said.
That's a long freaking way.
That's even further than I thought. Way further than I thought.
Unfortunately, gentlemen, that's our 3 hours up.
Hey, you're right. It is our 3 hours up. That was a defeated sigh right there, Adam.
Well, there is some questions for Stephen I had, but I'll save him till next week because they're not from me.
Look, that's all right. We'll compile a list. We can make it a weekly thing. Every week, we'll just take a couple of questions for Stephen, and we'll have Stephen Hawking answer them. It's really, the database is so well categorized that you can just search by keywords. So you just send me the questions, I can pop them in the search bar, and I will get the answer. It's that fast.
I suggest we refer to, well, he did say, call me Stephen. So I'd say we call him Stephen now, just in case they scrub us for copyright for every single show we've ever done featuring Stephen not Hawking.
That's right.
That's right.
We're using it for entertainment purposes.
Only
ask Stephen.
On that note,
we'll put that out to chat. If you have got any questions ever, then by all means feel free to
ring the flatline.
Indeed. Which has been open this whole time, by the way. Thought I'd throw that out there now that we're rounding out.
I don't think I put it up one on the windows. My bad.
It's all right.
Who tweeted this out then? Who shared it?
I did.
He did. I did.
I did not.
John did.
Shocker.
I haven't sent a tweet in ages. I'll retweet something.
Yeah, that's usually what I do. I retweet what you guys tweet.
Damn, we're good at this.
I went on a tweet thing there for a little bit, but.
Well, guys, it's been fun. I think I've got my second win. I'm going to go and do some grouting.
Oh my God!
You think I'm joking?
No, I don't. Not for a minute.
No.
I haven't got my arms back, but I think if I don't move them and exercise them shortly, then I won't have them back for a week. So I'm going to go and massage some magnesium into them and crack on with the beer and spliff and do some grouting.
Well, that sounds like that'll be really fun. I've got some pad thai with my name on it.
Hello.
So that's where I'm headed. I've got a rumbly in my tumbly.
Oh, that made me hungry.
I got a cozy pillar.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. It's been a blast as always.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Happy Fool's Day.
January Fools.
January Fools. That's right. Stay tuned to TFR. This coming Tuesday on the Ironworks, we'll be celebrating January Fools. All you fools that believe. I'm not getting into it. I'm just going to get the hell out of here. I'm so happy. That's the joy of having me on Friday night. Goofy at this point. All right.
Love y'all.
Love you guys. Love everybody in chat.
Love you guys.
Love everybody.
Thank you all.
Take it easy on that note.